Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome to part 2 of my little deep dive into precise intermedia reprint of Dungeon Kit number 2. As you saw in the first video, number 1 was the very first printed module for Dungeons and Dragons white box, whatever you want to call it, the original edition. This is a classic reprint with classic art from the one and only Morneau, who would later go on to give us art for the phenomenal Arduin Grimoire 1, 2, and 3. And I'm not sure if he did art later on after that, but, you know, I know I'm going to get a crap ton of jokes in the comments section about the name Dwarven Glory, with that other word tacked on to the end. I already saw that coming. Pardon the pun, but this one was really interesting in the way of a relatively moderate level. I suppose you could start this out as a first level adventure for your party. I'm going to read the blurb on the back. From the creators of Palace of the Vampire Queen, We Warriors presents Dungeon Kit number 2, The Dwarven Glory. At one time, the community of Dwarven Glory was a thriving and wealthy one. So wealthy, in fact, that the proud and strengthening heritage of Dwarven history was forgotten. The community became easy prey for Mortok and his 10 orc tribes. Although the orcs conquered Dwarven Glory, they could not completely destroy it. There were parts of the caverns they did not even penetrate. Now the caverns echo in the misty gloom, offering refuge to the forgotten and promise to the adventurer. Maps of the semi-abandoned Dwarven caverns in the mountain chain on the Isle of Baelor may be arranged in any order, providing a geomorphic playing area with more than 60 variations. Designed for use with the original edition rule set, this kit represents a ready-to-use adventure, Warhammer not included. First published in 1997, this rare dungeon kit returns. Much of it has been remastered, but the spirit of the original is intact. Now, this, among other things that I will go into after the dungeon, brought to you by Precise, or yeah, I'm going to go with Precise, or Precise Intermedia. It is a lovingly rendered classic reprint of a pretty solid adventure. Mind you, there's some weirdness. I think, give you an idea, there was one encounter at the very beginning. I should have marked this, but there's some high technology implied or hinted at in this game. I think there's one encounter where a dwarf is encountered with like a submachine gun. You could just swap that out for a crossbow if you're not inclined to throw in such things. But this really shows what the game was like back in the day, from people that weren't directly involved. The different communities that sprang up. You know, there's the East Coast, the Great Lakes area school of gaming, and then you've got the West Coast, where I hail from, with the more gonzo style. I'm not certain exactly where these guys were located, and it was originally designed by Peter and Judith Kirsten. Original artwork by Bradley Schneck. Remastering and Section A by Brett M. Bernstein. Special thanks to Douglas Ree and NTRPGC or RPG Con. Okay, this is actually a second printing, the one I have. But each area, like it says in the beginning, you can move them around so that they connect in different ways, and plenty of room for improvement, or areas you can just neglect to use. But I really enjoyed this one. I'm not a big dwarf guy, fan of the dwarven lore and things like that. But if that's what you're looking for, or you just want to see how it was done back in the day, it comes with a lot of little extras in here as well. There's a combat summary sheet, saving throws, men attacking, monsters attacking charts, a character sheet that probably not the best that I've ever seen, but it'll work if you need one. It's also got maximum weight possible to carry for characters, kind of an encumbrance sheet, which it's got the item, the weight, where it's carried, special characteristics, magic items, that sort of thing. And then it's got a creature encounter sheet, which is handy for the DM, and then a character tracking sheet so that your GM can actually keep track of the characters and not have to keep asking, how many hit points you got, with armor class, characters ID number and name, plus and minus to hit, plus minus damage, armor, weapons, profession level, places in the charts, and then a handy dandy piece of hex paper that you can also photocopy, and then in the back a list of the games they also put out. You may have come across these in the past, in addition to a little advert for the next one, which is the Misty Isles. One I actually enjoyed more than the rest, which is unusual because I am running my players through the Palace of the Vampire Queen, highly modified, because the players are between 7th and 10th level right now. So I had to up some things and change some things and swap some things around. But they also had a game called Labyrinth, Dragon Lord, The Embattled Trek, which is a sci-fi game, clearly based on another game with the word Trek in it, Lords of Olympus, Lair of Sword and Sorcery, Atomic Add-ons, Swords and Six-Siders, which is a sort of BXOE, Tunnels and Trolls inspired module, I believe. They also had Blood Shadows, a pulp adventure game, which I think I've got enough of those for now. Worlds Beyond, a exploration game, Rune Striders, and Darkwood, which is a more historical game. But they've put out quite a few things over the years, and this one was definitely something I'm glad to have in my collection. If you want more information, you can find these guys on eBay, or you can just go directly to Precise Intermedia. I like going from eBay because it gives you one more layer of security that you'll get your item. And mind you, these items actually, they don't send them in an envelope like you might expect. They actually come in a box. It's perfect for storing. It's like about this thick, so it would be nice to store miniatures in, or more books like this, if you want to take them with you, or some such. But for the price of admission, I definitely give this a solid, I don't know, A minus. I normally use a number scale, but it's definitely worth it. It was about $10-15 when all was said and done. Definitely something I'm glad to have been able to share with you guys, because there's a lot of modules out there, but most of them, either by TSR or Judges Guild, have more or less that full stamp of approval from TSR at the time, and go pretty kind of mainstream, mid-level threats and rewards. This one, speaking of rewards, if everything else I told you isn't quite enough, The loot in here for your players is exceedingly generous at times. I'm pretty certain there's at least two 500,000 gold piece gems you could walk away with, in addition to pretty substantial piles of gems elsewhere. And if you need an excuse to be a little generous to your players, here's an example of what you could expect to find. Mind you, though, there is there's an 18th level lich in the dungeon, with all of 42 hit points. I think I'd beef that up just a tad. Just saying, but 18th level. That's So this is no super low first level adventure, but it could be if you kept the lich at only 42 hit points and the players numbered in the half a dozen range, and they just dogpiled on him. You might be able to take him out. The magic items aren't super extensive. There are a lot of little magical keys and trinkets that you need to get further into the story that emerges from this adventure. But again, you can pick and choose what you add or delete from this. But I highly recommend this one if you are looking for something that falls within these parameters. Why not give it a try? If not, maybe you can get them to send you a PDF, or maybe there's one out there on the high seas. I don't know. I'd rather these guys actually get money for what they put out, just for the sheer fact that they've tried to keep alive the spirit of the origins of the hobby, going all the way back to 1977. That's what I got for you today. I will be doing the God Wars report either tonight if everybody gets their ducks in a row, or I will do it tomorrow, one way or the other. And then, of course, I'll need everybody's orders for week 3 as soon as possible, preferably no later than Saturday night at the latest. After that, it gets really difficult for me to put the report together for all 30 players that are in this, including the NPCs. So do what you can. Give me your sheets, your orders, etc. Some interesting developments have already happened. We're only in week 2, and I look forward to seeing all of you guys out there in TV land real soon. Have a great day. The weather is absolutely gorgeous here. I hope it's the same where you are. Until next time, happy trails.